Hibs away, I like it. Hibs away, I like it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's a bloody tune, right? And I'll hear no different. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a wee afternoon live stream to sit and preview and discuss the game this afternoon. Celtic take on Hibs at Celtic Park in match day 6 of the Scottish Premiership. We, of course, are unbeaten at the top of the table with 4 wins and a draw. This isn't the right graphic. This shouldn't be on my screen. We are unbeaten. Hibs are also unbeaten. But probably not the kind of unbeaten they would like to be. If you give me a moment, I will change this on screen. There we go. It's maybe my predicted starting 11 for tonight, and there we go. That should be that now. So we're going to have a wee bit of a chat. We're going to catch up on the things that I missed yesterday. I took a wee day off yesterday, and we're going to just chat about what you guys want to chat about. You know how these streams normally go. Of course, before the away games, we would go live to review the starting 11 and look at the team that Brendan Rodgers has went with. But we can't do that because I'll be at the game today. I won't have time to do that. So instead, I'll have a look at my predicted team, which is on screen, and we'll come to that in a moment. We've got a few things to cover, including the announced protest for today's game against Hibs. Now, before I even start talking about the protest and before I get into it properly, I know that this is one that has divided opinion. And there is a lot to be said about the protest this afternoon. I think that it's understandable that not everyone is on board with today's protest. But I would just like to reiterate the point before I go any further. I am not part of the steering group that has come to the final decision. I am one of the many voices behind the scenes that gets a say in what happens and gets to voice my opinion and gets to represent the opinion of my subscribers and my regular viewers. And on this occasion, in my opinion, is that any protest is action that goes against the board, and I am up for all forms of uncomfortable protest. I understand that not everybody is on that bandwagon, and not everybody will share that opinion. But we're going to come to that. That has been addressed by the Celtic Fans Collective ahead of this game. And it's just a reminder that at this game today, 3 o'clock this afternoon, during this 12-minute silent protest, you're not obligated to take part. No one's being forced to be silent. And if you're of the nature or of the opinion that this goes against the nature of back the team, sack the board, if you're there this afternoon, use your voice. Use your voice and display that then. You're not being forced to be silent. The thing is, for me, we had the 12-minute walkout at Rugby Park. People moaned. We have the 12-minute silence today. People are moaning. We would protest outside the stadium. People would moan. We would protest using banners. People would moan. We would protest in any way, shape or form, and not everyone will be on board. People will moan. And there's nothing wrong with that. In a democratic society, in protests of any nature, that is absolutely fine. You have a right to share your opinion, to voice your concerns, and put something forward. But at the end of the day, the point of protesting is that not everyone will be on board. And it's the same in life. It's not just a football match, you know, that applies to. It applies to any form of protest. If you are protesting for anything, there are going to be people that disagree. There is not going to be one form of protest that Celtic fans can put forward. Whether you're a match-going fan, whether you're a stay-at-home fan, whether you're an abroad supporter, whether you're just a casual that checks in and out, no matter what, protests are never going to be 100% unanimous, no matter how hard you try. Never. Doesn't matter the nature of what protest you take forward. You are never, ever, ever going to have 100% of people on board. And that was something that was laid out and understood at the first fan collective meeting weeks ago in Glasgow. There's going to be people that disagree, and there is nothing wrong with that. So if you're of the opinion that it doesn't help, then go today, sing, and do your part to help the team. If you want to go today and you want to take part in the 12-minute silence, then good, because that is your prerogative. There is nothing wrong with being on either side of this. And the only people who are trying to bring forward division, and the only ones who are going to try and incite division amongst the Celtic supporters, are those that cannot understand that you're allowed to have an opinion. The collective who have put forward the 12-minute protest today aren't doing it to incite division. The only people that will incite division are those that are too bitter to accept that people can do things in their own nature. And that goes on either side. There will be people that will incite division, whether they're in favour or against the protest. But the point of it is that people are allowed an individual opinion and have an individual right to exercise whatever form of protest they like. And that starts today with the 12-minute silence. I will be taking part in the 12-minute silence. That does not mean that everybody watching this live stream has to take part in a 12-minute silence. That everybody at Celtic Park today has to take part in a 12-minute silence. I think that if you want change, you need to go through uncomfortable situations. And that's where we are. I will quickly throw up on screen the actual statement that's the wrong screen. The actual statement that was put out yesterday at 11 o'clock we were asked to share. The Celtic Fans Collective says, as the Celtic board continues to ignore the concerns of the Celtic support, we are launching a free match home package which reflects their silence, which includes 12 minutes against Hibs, 29 minutes against Braga and 32 minutes against Motherwell. The silences are designed to reinforce the importance of Celtic fans to Celtic Football Club by demonstrating how a silent stadium is in nobody's interest. And that is the biggest part that I think people need to try and take away from this, is that, you know, yeah, people might think, oh, it harms the team or whatever, and you're entitled to that opinion if so. But if you want to show these people that are ruining the club actively at the highest level are discontent, this is the sort of uncomfortable nature that sometimes needs to be at play. We hope that the package may be called off, and that's it. Celtic have the power. This is the whole point in protest. I think this is the point that people are missing entirely. This is something that can be called off at any time if the Celtic board are willing just to come forward with some communication, with some conversation and some acknowledgement of what the fans are asking for. And that's clarification on how the club is being run, what the vision is moving forward, and the failings of the summer transfer window, and how we missed out on Champions League football, which should be an almost certainty at Celtic Football Club. So yeah, this is something that we hope might be called off. At any point, should reasonable progress be made by the club in engaging with credible communication with supporters being in communication with the club, the board cannot continue to commodify our passion while ignoring our concerns, which I think is a totally reasonable and respectable ask of the people who take the money from us every year, to be quite honest. As I said, everybody has got the right to exercise their own opinions. We'll come on to that. I'm sure that I've seen the comment section flying. In response to those concerns, you know, what does it achieve? Does it go against helping the team? What if you don't want to stay silent? This is where you can't fault the communication of the collective here, because they're doing something that ultimately the Celtic board can't do in what we're asking for. They have communicated it, you know. You don't need to take part. So this was the exact words, you know, if you don't want to stay silent, then don't. The collective represents a broad spectrum of supporters. We appreciate some protest actions may not please at all people, but we also believe we have done a broad consensus of support for the actions chosen today. Ultimately, individuals are free to act as they are. And this is what I mean. There are so many people out there who are pretending that this is being forced upon them, that they have to do it, that it's been chosen by other supporters to do it. You can shout and chant as much as you... If you've not sang a song in Celtic Park for 30 years, today's your day. Sing your heart out if you disagree. You know, nobody is stopping you. Nobody at all. However, we appeal to all, consider the ego, blah, blah, blah. Basically, everything is very well explained. What about back the team? You can go and read through it. I'm not here to read it verbatim. I am in favour of the protest. As I've said before, I am not part of the steering group who came to the final decision of this silent protest. Do I believe there are better ways to go about protesting? Yes, I do, 100%. I think that there is other things that we can do. But at the end of the day, the nature of protesting is just uncomfortable for everybody. It's not one that's welcomed by all. But, I mean, that's protesting. And I think we're all very
quick to forget how shit that transfer window was when we see things like this, and how shit it felt when we got knocked out of the Champions League. So yeah, listen, there's lots of things flying about it. I see the comment section, I hear everybody's opinions. As I said, nobody is forcing anybody to join in. Nobody is forcing divide amongst the fans. You only find divide if you look for divide. Like, nobody, listen, if fans choose to join in, they choose to join in. If fans don't, they don't. I sound like a broken record at this point. But that's what it is. We have a couple of things. I do want to get into all your comments and talk about it, but let me get through all the talking points first, and let me get through all the news that I've missed over the past couple of days. Thank you to Alistair for being a member for 12 months. By the way, I always love to shout out the loyalty of the channel members, saying reaction to the protest is very weird, particularly from people who were in favour of the first one. No one's being forced to do this. Matthew says, what folk need to understand is that matches are really our only way to show our discontent. It's what has to be done. And that's, I mean, listen, everybody is welcome to put forward better ideas. I do want to read out some of the comments as well of people who disagree, because I understand there is plenty of them out there. And we all love Celtic. We all love the team. Can I just say, you know, Celtic fans being silent for 12 minutes inside Celtic Park should not harm the side. And I don't know why there is this big hyper over-analysis or hyper-reaction to 12 minutes of silence suddenly causing the team being able not to play football. We have played all season, and we've not been great. And that's with fan noise. Without fan noise, you know, we shouldn't be much different. These are grown professionals who play the sport for a living that have earned their keep to be here. They shouldn't be affected by 12 minutes of silence. And football games aren't won in the first 12 minutes. They're won in the remaining fucking 78 that follow it. I understand the point of what just harms the team. Well, Celtic should be beating any side in Scotland at Celtic Park without much hassle, to be quite honest. And I don't mean to sound entitled when I say that. I'm just being realistic. We should be able to win these games with 12 minutes of silence or not, because the other 78 minutes of noise should make up for it. Celtic Park's atmosphere has been a myth for the longest time. We have one section of the stadium who do their utmost to try and keep something going, and it doesn't really, or two sections I should say, apologies. We've got one at each end, and nobody really picks up on top of that, and that's never more proven than when these fan groups are banned. When we see the banning of the Green Brigade or boys, this stadium's a library. So I don't know why we're pretending all of a sudden that we have an absolute, you know, cauldron of fierce noise for 90 minutes. That isn't the case, and don't lie to yourself that it is. I've been a season ticket holder for a decade now. I have been going to games for nearly 20 years, and in that 20 years, in that 10 years of being a season ticket holder, I know that our atmosphere can be over exaggerated, and people are uncomfortable to admit it, but it's true. It is true. We rely heavily on the supporters groups that are part from the boys and the Green Brigade, and if you can't admit that, you're just bitter against them, because it's true. It's so true. And you might not like me saying it, and you might want to unsubscribe because I'm saying it, but that is the case. It is. Nobody in my section's up trying to get the atmosphere going, and that includes me. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do either, but that's not my point. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. So, you know, it is what it is. Thank you, Patrick, for becoming a supporter of the channel, by the way. We will come. I want to hear all your opinions. We will get to all your opinions. I just don't think there should be this hyper reaction that 12 minutes is going to absolutely destroy the team. Because, yeah, that's that. There was some communication from the club last night, in fact, which came at a more suitable time of 4:35 PM. We got the results of the Fairhurst inquiry into the situation that unfurled on the 16th of March in the Celtic Rangers game at Celtic Park. We know that there was a situation that kind of happened at London Road. Fans were kettled in. It was shocking behaviour. The club remained silent on it for a long period of time as this Fairhurst inquiry took place. The results of the Fairhurst inquiry have now been publicly shared, and as much as I appreciate getting the results of that public inquiry, what I will say is it is just another statement of not our fault, nothing to do with it, and no accountability being taken. I do understand, and I do extend my arm out to Celtic in the situation that there is only so much the club can do in situations that take place out with Celtic Park. Celtic don't have any jurisdiction or authority when it comes to what happens on London Road, what happens in parts of Glasgow. They only have authority and jurisdiction of what goes in within the boundaries and the walls of Celtic Park as a stadium. And I understand that. This statement basically just comes out and shares the results of Celtic has no role in involvement with the police outside Celtic Park. It has nothing to do with the jurisdiction outside. There isn't much in this statement that didn't happen and that hasn't, that Celtic fans weren't already aware of. So it's not a groundbreaking piece. We did get words from Michael Nicholson, which seem rare in this day and age. We don't hear too much from anybody in that position. And Michael Nicholson basically came out and said that supporters should feel safe. Supporters should also act safely and responsibly, both inside and outside the ground. Lessons must be learned. I must admit, I'm not here to... Listen, I don't want to talk about this for too much just now. It could be a separate video in itself. The tone that I got from Michael Nicholson in here didn't seem very supportive of the supporters. It's hard when you read things in text to take everything. You've got to take things with a pinch of salt. It didn't feel like it was very much in favour of our own kind. It was like, oh, supporters should feel safe, but it said you should also act responsibly. When there was nothing that really happened down on London Road to suggest that Celtic fans did act irresponsibly. So, yeah, it wasn't a great statement. I'm not going to lie. I think it's, again, a piece of information and it's a statement that 6 months to tell us nothing that we don't know. 6 months not to communicate any kind of action moving forward. I mean, they say that they will speak with Police Scotland and it will be shared. I think there's a long way to go with this inquiry and what the final results are. But I am generally, and I don't, listen, there's people out there who are endless backers of the guys in the suits, and they will say, oh, you're just looking for something to moan at. I once again don't see anything here that suggests that these people actually care about Celtic fans. And that's just my honest truth. And you might think I'm just saying that because of the nature of everything that's going on at the minute, or maybe that I'm just being over the top because I like to moan about the board. No, I listen, the day that I stop caring about my fans, or our fans, over the cunts in the suits and the ties that care about our money more than our safety, is the day that I sell out and the day that I sell all my morals and principles. I think that everybody that supports this club mean so much more than the ones that run it, to be quite honest. So that's my kind of final opinion to that. You can go and read the results of the Fairhurst inquiry. These are the kind of things that Celtic fans are trying to come together and protest. I think the day that you stop standing with your fellow supporters and you start standing with these is the day that you give up the nature of what supporting Celtic is all about and the reason that Celtic Football Club actually exists. I am a far more political person than most might be. I'm a far more morally driven person than what some people might care for. But that's just where I stand, I'm afraid, and that's where I'll always stand. So, don't like it, then I guess that's that. Right, there is a game of football to be played today, and I want to get onto your comments. We've got a couple of injury updates to kind of dance through as well. Brendan Rodgers confirmed that Rio Hatate will likely miss today's game, which might come as good news to many people. We know that Cameron Carter-Vickers should be okay, but I expect to see him maybe rested this afternoon. And apart from that, Brendan Rodgers used the words that that Celtic's squad is basically in the same position as it were for the midweek game against Crvena Zvezda, which of course means that Tony Ralston is back and Iheanacho is in the same position of fitness maybe that he was going into that. I still expect to see Iheanacho start today. So on that note, my starting 11 prediction on screen is this. It's a bit of a weird one. I think today is a very hard game to predict in terms of starting 11. I think that the midfield three especially is up for heavy conversation. If Rio is out, that means that I think Engels definitely comes in. I think that Luke McCowan is well within deserves a start, to be honest. I've not got him in my starting 11 prediction just because it's so difficult. It's so difficult. So that's the team I've gone with on screen. I think we'll see Vickers come out of the team to be rested today, which I think would be wise following his kind of not taken midweek. I think that we should see Balakwisha, Iheanacho and Tedeschi start together. I see Lewis in the chat saying Sirachi could come in for KT, and I don't disagree. I think he could as well. But I think there is still an importance of making sure Kieran Tierney is getting as many minutes in his legs as possible at this stage of the season. So I think that Tierney will still start. And Donovan, I see Aaron saying Ralston starts. I do think there's a chance Ralston starts today. I would be very disappointed if he does. I think that Donovan deserves to be rewarded, and he should stay in the team for now. Listen, when Alistair Johnson comes back, Alistair Johnson is going to come back into the team. I see Connor asking that question as a channel member for 5 months. Thank you, mate. And I think that Johnson should be back in the team because you play your best players, and Johnson is just, he's one of the best players in the whole squad, let alone at the right back position. So Johnson will come back into the team. But I think until then, until Donovan suggests that he's not, he shouldn't be playing, I think Donovan should be in that team every single week for the time being. So yeah, I've got that in there. I think today, listen, I'm not saying that this 11 that I've predicted is my heart set on it. It's the 11 that's going to play. I think there's so many different players that could. I think Negren could still start today's game. I think Yang could still start today's game, for goodness sake. I think it's actually a really, really difficult team to predict, especially when you've got Braga midweek as well. There is so many questions about the predicted starting 11. Ultimately, Brendan knows what 11 he's going to want to go with this afternoon. We'll see that around 2 o'clock today. Until then, this is what I'm predicting. Right, so yeah, Celtic Hibs, a lot going on, a lot of people in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Get your questions in. Let's talk to you guys. I've been yapping, whether that's about the game itself, the team prediction, the protests, whatever you want to talk about, get it in. I will try and get as many questions and points covered in the next 10 minutes as possible, and then we'll go through that before I go off for this afternoon. So thank you as always. Make sure to hit like, make sure to hit subscribe. That would be appreciated. Do you think that Shin could play as a right winger? Asked Donny Tiny Hands. I don't know of anything that suggests he can play as a right winger. I don't see anything that suggests he should play as a right winger. I think it was a very weird signing for the club to go ahead and make, and I am not going to pretend I'm on the side of the narrative that, oh, why is Shin not playing? I don't care. I don't care. The manager didn't want him, so I don't fault the manager for not playing him. Simple as that. It was the same midweek when folk were greeting that certain people weren't on the bench. Inamura's not on the bench. Oh, God forbid. A player that Brendan Rodgers didn't want isn't on the bench. Who are you going to drop for him? And listen, I'm not going to pretend that I really care right now. I'm happy with how Big Iheanacho started the season. I'm happy with how Taneki started the season. I want to see more of Balikwisha, even though he hasn't started great. Thought he was good when he came on the pitch against Kumar, to be fair. Listen, I'm not going to put on full performances, Is Maida now a super sub? I don't think he's a super sub. I just think he's not going to start today. I think that Maida's still a very important part of this team, and Rodgers spoke about that. I think people misread what Rodgers said at the press conference as if he said, oh, he's down tools because he didn't get a move. Isn't what he said. I think he more or less said that mentally it has played a part. And so it would, I think. But we can't allow that to persist. So I think that he should be dropped today, and I think he will be dropped today. Mark, I think there was a point that was made in that Mark saying, I'm not going to celebrate if we score. Silent protest doesn't mean we're fucking suddenly turning into Charlie Chaplin. Like, we're allowed to speak. We're allowed to use our mouth. In fact, the exact words were, what if we score? Just to reiterate the point, if Celtic do score today. We celebrate. A silent protest doesn't mean we can't react naturally and emotionally to the match. However, it does mean we're asking that there be no singing. So, listen, there's no point in picking and trying to see through problems and trying to point holes. And listen, just because it's a silent protest doesn't mean I can't go, oh, if a shot hits the bar. That's not how a silent protest works, and I don't think we should play dumb about it either. What else was there? Was another one that I wanted to bring in about. I seen somebody saying we should have dropped Callum. John Tube said we also would drop Callum back. I would drop McGregor today as well, but I don't think he will. And he's the captain, so you've got to take a lot of things into consideration, I suppose. I do agree though. I would drop him as well. I would have if it was me picking the team today, my midfield three would be Engels, Bernardo, and McCowan. If I was picking the team, but I'm not picking the team because I'm a supporter and I'm not a qualified manager like the man who is. Osman must be raging. Going from a highly rated PL2 player to being a Celtic B team fodder. Was definitely lied to in negotiations. Yeah, not a great situation for Callum Osmond. I don't know what his situation was. I mean, listen, we don't. At the same time, Aaron, there's no point in us pretending we know what happened in negotiations. He might have been told that he's not going to see first team football this year, and he might have went, okay, We don't know. We simply don't. Do I think that happened? No, but we don't know. So, listen, it's hard to get into the team at the minute. When you've got Iheanacho there, you've got a player of the year like Maeda. It's just not easy to get into the starting striker position, I suppose. But maybe we'll see him eventually, you know. Do I think Iheanacho will stay if Brendan leaves? I think it's too early to tell. I think Celtic, it's far too early to tell. We'll probably talk about that towards the end of the season. You never know how form will go as well. Just so many different things to consider. Listen, it's too early. Too early. Simpson Pusey is the most baffling signing for me as well, Lewis. I agree. I don't understand. Could Simpson Pusey realistically come into the team today? Yes. Will he? No. Probably not. It's a very baffling signing. And especially because Man City and Celtic have had quite a good working relationship for this past 10 years. I'm really surprised at how it's kind of went. I feel like Celtic are burning bridges there. Not that I care, because I hate Man City. But it's not good to burn your bridges at that level. And very strange. Very strange situation with him altogether. And we'll wait and see. Did you see that City Football Group talent manager Luke Tisdale and Shane Murphy, a performance consultant at City Football Group, were at training ground yesterday? No, I did not see that. I did not. I can't say I did. If Rodgers leaves, I wouldn't give Kelsey a new deal. Kelsey? Well, we got big fucking Jason in our team. Or Travis. What one? What Kelsey are we talking about? I love Jason. I'm a Jason man. Go Birds and all that. But I know you mean Kelechi, but I'm just having a laugh with you, Donny. Apologies. If Rodgers leaves, you wouldn't give him a new deal. Well, I mean, what if he goes and scores 30 goals this year? You know? If he scores 30 goals, doesn't matter if Rodgers is here. We'll all want him to get a new deal. Surely. No? Wouldn't make any sense. He's already scored 2 in 3 games. Keeps that up. Yeah. I'm all up for not playing JSP until he stops using Instagram like a 15-year-old after a breakup. Yeah, that's the youth culture, isn't it, that exists down south in particular. He only plays if Scales gets injured. Bernardo needs more of a chance. Yeah, I really want to see Bernardo. I'll be so gutted if Bernardo doesn't play today. And at the same time, listen, I don't want to blow up Bernardo to be this player that he's not. Like, Bernardo isn't fucking Andreas Iniesta, right? I like him. You know, I like him a lot, and I want him in the team. I would just be kind of gutted, though, because I go back to that game against Rangers last year. I remember I was in Berlin when I watched it, and I was just, blown away with how well he ran in the middle of the field, and how fluid the game ran through him. And I really want more of that. I want to see him constantly in the team. But he's just never had a run, and it's hard. Like, listen, there's no point in. It's easy for us when we're in when we're in these moments of Celtic aren't playing too great, and Callum's not been great, and Rio hasn't been great. It's easy for us to rewrite the narrative of like, oh, Brendan's not playing, and what's going on, and why is he not getting a game? We need to remind ourselves that for the last 2 years since Bernardo's been at the club, our midfield has been stacked, and on a weekly basis has played really well over the 2-year period. So it's not been easy. You know, when you go back to last year when we had McGregor and Hatate playing really, really well in the opening stages of the season, and Engels coming in as an £11 million signing that was hard to justify dropping. Then you go to the season before when you have Matt O'Reilly in there. It's not easy. So it's difficult. But I would love to see him in the team today, and I hope to see the midfield play a lot better. I've been very vocal about how poor the midfield's been in the last few weeks, and I think that we desperately need that to change, to be quite honest. I've seen a lot of different midfield combinations for folk in the chat. McGregor, Engels, Bernardo, Engels, Nygren, Mr. Blobby, whoever that might be. Different people and different things. Thank you to Drennan for becoming a supporter of the channel. I appreciate that, brother. Welcome. I love that. Is that Musa? Is the profile picture? You're going to make me tear up. In here. Right, I'm going to wrap things up for today because I've got to go and make some lunch before I head away to the game this afternoon. So thank you. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all your opinions and all the rest of it. we'll see how today's game goes. We'll see how the result fares, and I'll be back on the channel tonight with a match reaction. So until then, take care of yourself. God